Hare Krishna, everyone. So very happy to be
No,
back.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So very happy to be back with all of you again for our Bhagavatam class. We couldn't do our Krishna Darshan program yesterday. We were a little tired from our Gaur Purnima festival in Manchester on Friday night. We're still recovering. It was a beautiful, beautiful festival. We did it after 1 year's break. At Manchester, we did our last Gaur Purnima in 2020, and then the lockdown came in effect, and we missed it in 21, and then 22 we did it. We resumed again, and it was a very wonderful program. So many new people came, and everybody was so happy to be engaged in this beautiful festival. Hopefully, we'll have our own festivals locally in Stoke very soon. But till then, we remain online and and do our program this way together. So today we are continuing with Bhagavatam, second canto, 8th chapter, shloka 17 and onwards. This chapter is again the questions by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami. Some extraordinary questions that he is asking to Shukdev Goswami, and the question itself are so wonderful, so deep, and then we'll see the answers that Shukdev Goswami gives in the coming chapters. But these are beautiful questions. So this time we'll be now continuing from shloka 17 and onwards. I'll share it in the screen so everybody can read it together. Manjunath Prabhu, would you like to start with the 17th verse?
Okay, Guruji. Hare Krishna, everybody. Text 17, translation. Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation and also duration of such ages. Also tell me about different activities of the different incarnation of the Lord in different ages. Purport. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, although non-different from him, are emanations from the Supreme. Maharaja Parikshit inquired from the great and learned sage Sukadeva Goswami about the different activities of such incarnation, so that the incarnation of the Lord might be confirmed by the activities in the authoritative scriptures. Maharaja Parikshit was not to be carried away by the sentiments of the common man to accept the incarnation of the Lord very cheaply. Instead, he wished to accept the incarnation of the Lord by symptoms mentioned in the Vedic literature and confirmed by the Acharya like Sukadeva Goswami. The Lord descends by the internal energy without an obligation to the laws of material nature, and thus his activities are also uncommon. The specific activities of the Lord are mentioned, and no one should know the activities of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical due to being on the absolute plane. Thus, to hear the activities of the Lord means to associate with the Lord directly, and association with the Lord directly means purification of the material contamination. We have already discussed this point in the previous volume. Text 18, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. This is shloka 17 from 8th chapter, where the Parikshit Maharaj is asking the question to Shukdev Goswami. He's asking, please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. So if you remember last time, Parikshit Maharaj asked about the cosmos, what are the various planets, and how they interact, how the society is organized in various planetary system. And now he's asking in detail. He says, please explain all the different ages in duration of the creation. So we have the whole creation is there, and within the creation there are sections of ages. So what are these ages? Of course, Parikshit Maharaj knows, this Kali Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, different, but he wants to know in detail now, and also for our own benefit. And then he's asking, and also tell me about the different activities of different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. So he's asking that yes, there are different ages, and Lord incarnates in every ages. And what are his activities? When Lord incarnates, what are his different activities? Earlier, if you see in the previous chapter, uh, we heard about Lord Brahma talking about various incarnations of the Lord to Narada Muni. It is already been known. But now Parikshit Maharaj is asking, what are his specific activities in specific ages? The Lord's incarnation and his activities. So here Prabhupada makes a very wonderful point that what is the best way of understanding the incarnations of the Lord? Here it is mentioned, I'll just read these lines again. Maharaj Parikshit was not to be carried away by the sentiments of common men to accept an incarnation of the Lord very cheaply. Instead, he wished to accept the incarnation of the Lord by symptoms mentioned in the Vedic literatures and confirmed by the Acharya like Shukdev Goswami. So Prabhupada makes a valid point, very wonderful point, that Parikshit Maharaj is a very intelligent person. He was not to be carried away by anyone who comes along and claims himself as the incarnation of the Lord. That is a human tendency, and especially in Kali Yuga, that is more prevalent. Anybody does, any, some extraordinary activity in this world is considered, people start worshipping like a god. Some politician or some businessman or a sports star or somebody shows some magical tricks. People just say, oh, he's God. I worship him. So he Prabhupada mentions that Parikshit Maharaj was not like that. He wanted the incarnations of the Lord to be confirmed by the scriptures. So when Lord comes, so he comes and he does his superhuman activities, and for what purpose he comes, it is all mentioned in our Vedic literatures. And also these incarnations, they are confirmed by the Acharya Vrinda, all the Acharyas. So here Parikshit Maharaj, he wants to know for certain, what are the incarnations of the Lord, which ages they come, and what they do, what are the activities they perform. So here we just take a little, connect our today's shlok with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also incarnation of the Lord. He came 546 years back, and he did, he inaugurated the Sankirtan movement. He inaugurated the Sankirtan in this Kali Yuga. And why one should accept him as this incarnation of the Lord? Because his incarnation is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that Krishna will come in this age of Kali Yuga. He will be Krishna Varnam Tisa Krishnam. He is Krishna himself, but not like blackish. He comes in a complexion of golden complexion. And then we also get information from various other scriptures. Why Lord comes in a golden complexion? What are the internal reasons? What are the external reasons? And he says, and in the shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that he'll come and inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. And there it is mentioned in the next line, so, Sumedasa, those who are very intelligent, they will worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it says he'll come Sangopangastha Parshadam. He will come with all his associates. So, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he came with all his associates. We worship Panchatattva. The Panchatattva, who are these Panchatattva? In the Panchatattva, we say Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shivash, Adi, Gaura, Bhakta Vrinda. So the Lord comes as associates, Panchatattva, and there are so many other devotees. They also incarnate in his lila. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he comes in the mood of a Radharani, in the mood of a devotee, in a golden complexion. So when he comes, he comes with these two aspects of Radharani. Radharani's complexion, Radharani is golden in complexion, so Lord takes her complexion. And Radharani's mood, Radharani, she is so merciful. She is so, you know, uh, loving and caring and so merciful to all the suffering souls in the world. And she just wants to give away the love of God, the bhakti, to anybody who comes. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes in the mood of Radharani. And along with Radharani comes Nityananda. Nityananda again is the incarnation of Balaram. So again Balaram comes. Balaram is the Adi Guru. He is the original spiritual master. So Nityanand Prabhu, he attracts all the living entities of this Kali Yuga to come, and take part in Sankirtan, and perfect their lives. And then Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya is a combined incarnation of Sadashiv and Mahavishnu together. It is said that on the request of Sri Advaita Acharya, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed to come into this material world. So Advaita Acharya is one of the another Panchatattva. So they all three are Vishnu Tattva: Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu, and Advaita Acharya. Because he is Mahavishnu and Sadashiv combined, so is Mahavishnu is also Vishnu Tattva. And then Gadadhar. So Gadadhar, she is the incarnation of Radharani. Though he is in a male body, but he is the incarnation of Radharani. And then Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur is the incarnation of Narada Muni. So he is a bhakta, devotee of the Lord. So the devotee, the great devotee of the Lord, he also comes along with the Lord. And there are so many other devotees, Pundrik Vidyanidhi, Haridas Thakur, then all the Acharya, the gopis, the Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. These are the Manjaris from the Vrindavan. They also come along with the Lord, and they come to establish the Sankirtan movement, and that is mentioned in our scripture. So one should not accept anybody or anyone as incarnation of the Lord. He must be mentioned in the scripture. His incarnation, his activities, what he'll be doing, those things are mentioned in our scripture. So next scheduled incarnation is Kali. That will come at the end of Kali Yuga. But there is a long time before he comes. The Kali Yuga's duration is 432,000 years, and we only pass 5,000 years of Kali Yuga. So it's a long time before Lord Kalki comes. Not Kali, but Kalki Avatar. The Kalki will come in more than 400,000 years. So don't wait for that one. But here Prabhupada, he mentions another point, that actually the Lord's katha, hearing the Lord's glory in his activity, it is known different than the Lord. Because Lord is absolute. Anything connected with the Lord has got the same potency as the Lord himself, because Lord is absolute. So when you hear katha, when you hear the glories of Krishna, it is known different than associating with the Lord. Let's see what Prabhupada says here. The specific activities of the are mentioned, and one should know that the activities of the Lord and the Lord himself. The specific activities of the Lord are mentioned, and one should know that the activities of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical due to being on the absolute plane. Thus, to hear the activities of the Lord means to associate with the Lord directly. And association with the Lord directly means purification from the material contamination. So when you are hearing about the Lord, then it is the direct association of the Lord. And with that direct association, all our contamination is washed away. We become purified. So there is another symptoms, or the great activities we observe in the life of a devotee. There is always, looking for the opportunities to hear the glories of the Lord. In ISKCON, our standard is that every day in the morning, devotees come together and hear Bhagavatam, at least for 1 hour. They come together and hear Bhagavatam. And in some places, in the temple where the facilities are there, they should come to they come together and hear Bhagavad Gita. And if the possibilities are not there, if it's one is not living in the near the temple, then it is mentioned that one should in the house, either in the morning or evening, or if possible both time, the family members should come together and sit down and hear the Krishna Katha. This way we are directly associating with the Lord. Here Prabhupada mentions directly, because the Lord and his Katha, his glorifications are non-different. We directly associate with it. This is Shloka 17. Let's go on Shloka 18. So anybody like to read Shloka 18? Please come forward. I'll share this Shloka with you if you need to the screen. So this is Shloka 18. Anybody?
Yes, go on, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Anthony Prabhu. Please.
Hare Krishna. The translation. Please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliations of human society, as well as their specific occupational duties in religion, the classification of the social order, as well as the administrative royal orders, and the religious principles for one who may be in distress. Purport. The common religion of all classes of human beings, regardless of whosoever and whatsoever one may be, is devotional service. Even the animals may be included in devotional service to the Lord, and the best example is set by Sri Vajrangaji or Hanuman, the great devotee of Lord Ram. As we have already discussed, even the Aborigines and cannibals can also be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, if they happen to be under the guidance of a genuine devotee of the Lord. In the Skanda Purana, there is a narration that a hunter in the jungle became the most enlightened devotee of the Lord by the guidance of Sri Narada Muni. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord can be equally shared by every living being. Religious affiliation in terms of different countries and cultural circumstances is obviously not the common religion of the human being. Rather, the basic principle is devotional service. Even if a particular type of religious principle does not recognize the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the followers still have to obey disciplinary principles laid down by a particular leader. Such a leader of a religious sect is never the supreme leader, because such a circumstantial leader comes to the position of leadership after undergoing some penance. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not, however, require to be under disciplinary action to become leader, as we see in the activities of Lord Krishna. The occupational duties of the caste and the orders of society, following the principles of livelihood, also depend on the principle of devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that a person can achieve the highest perfection of life simply by awarding the results of his occupational duty unto the devotional service of the Lord. People following the principles of devotional service to the Lord can never be put into difficulty, and thus there cannot be any question of apadharma or religion in distress. As well as will be explained in this book by the greatest authority, Sri Sukadev Goswami, there is no religion save and except the devotional service of the Lord, though this may be presented in different forms.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Haribo, Haribo.
Translation again. Please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliation of human society, as well as their specific occupational duties in religion, the classification of the social orders, as well as the administrative royal orders, and the religious principles for one who may be in distress. So quite a detailed question that the Parikshit Maharaj is asking. Now he's asking that he asked about the incarnations of the Lord, and now saying how in the following various religious principles one can approach the Lord, and what are these religious principles. So he's asking also, please explain what may be generally the common religious affiliation of human society. Why saying common religious affiliation? Because there are various other religious practices are there in the world, but what is the common affiliation? So Prabhupada, rather than waiting for Shukdev Goswami to give answer in the next few chapters, here only he gives a little synopsis of what is that common affiliation of the religious principle. So he's saying that bhakti or devotional service is the common religion, because bhakti, it is all inclusive. And he mentions that bhakti, it is not even just limited to the humans. Even the animals, they can be part of it. Sri Hanumanji, he came in the body of he's a Sadashiv, Lord Shiva himself, but he came in the body of a monkey. And he was engaged in the service of Lord Ram. Ram Navami is coming, in 2-3 weeks time. And whenever we talk about Ram, we remember Hanumanji. Here we see the picture of Anthony Prabhu's, connection here. This Hanumanji is mentioned there. Hanumanji's picture is there. And then we see there are so many examples, other examples where so many animals, they took part in the Lord's service. Another, famous devotee of the Lord was Jatayu. Jatayu was in the body of a vulture. Still, he served Ram. Then there is Gajendra. In the Bhagavatam, there are so many chapters connected, in glorification, and in the pastimes of how Gajendra surrendered his life to the Lord. And then Prabhupada mentions that, that bhakti, it is not just for a particular country or a caste or religion or a race. It is for everyone. Even the lowest of the low person, he can take part in devotional service. And Prabhupada cites the reference from Skanda Puran, where there is the narration of a hunter. His name was Mrigarari. Very terrible hunter. He used to half kill the animals and he used to enjoy that. Just not just killing, half kill, and when the animals, they are grasping, screaming in the pain, that was his enjoyment. But by his good fortune, he met Narada Muni, and he accepted the shelter of Narada Muni, and Narada Muni instructed him, that how we can come out of this horrible occupation of hunting, and how we can be the great devotee of the Lord. Again, this is a whole long story. So Mrigarari, he became such a great devotee that is mentioned in the Skanda Puran. He is part of the Vedic literature. And how did he become the great devotee? By taking the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Again, there is a point here that that we cannot approach the Lord or we are so much bound by these material conditions, we need help, and that help comes in the form of the spiritual master. Without the help of a spiritual master, no one uh, can come out of this difficult condition of this world. No one. Uh, and Lord personally, when he comes to this world, he establishes his principles again and again, that when the Lord comes, he himself accepts his own devotee as a spiritual master, just to establish the principles that everyone requires guru or spiritual master in their life. The Lord does not require any spiritual master, but he comes and establishes. For example, we had a Gaur Purnima recently. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he accepted Ishvara Puri as a spiritual master. And we know the whole lineage. Ishvara Puri, his guru was Madhvendra Puri. And then his guru, and his guru, the whole Madhva Sampradaya, the whole lineage is there. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the 6 Goswamis and so many other devotees, and then the whole disciplic succession comes. And then finally, Jagannath Goswami, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Gaur Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and now his disciples, they are offering their service as a spiritual master, and this will continue. So this accepting the spiritual master is the without it we cannot progress in spiritual life. And this particular mentions of that bhakti is so inclusive. It gives so much solace to our heart that no matter who we are, whether you're Indian or a British or American or Australian, or you're white, or you're African, or no matter who you are, whether a rich or a poor, a male or a female, there are no distinction whatsoever. If you can accept the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master, one is guaranteed to come out of the clutches of this material world. So for us, Srila Prabhupada is our spiritual master. Through his book, this Srimad Bhagavatam, and all the literatures that he left, we associate with Srila Prabhupada through his books. And when we are ready, we should accept one of his disciple or the current Acharya as a physical guru in our life, to connect to the whole parampara and perfect our life. So again, it's a very important point that is mentioned in these pages. And now let's move on shloka 19. So let's do 19. 19 has got no purport, so somebody can do 19 and 20 together. Again, I'll share it on the screen, and somebody can come forward to read it. Anyone?
Yes, should I do it, Prabhupada? Shobha.
Yes, Shobha Mataji. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
It's so. Hare Krishna, everybody. Translation. Kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the purpose of devotional service and the method of mystic powers. I can't see. Yeah. Thank you.
20 years.
Yes, please. Translation. What are the opulences of great mystic, and what is their ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic becomes detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literature, including the branches of history and supplementary Puranas? Purport. The Yogeshwara, or the master of mystic powers, can exhibit 8 kinds of wonders of perfection by becoming smaller than the atom or lighter than a feather, getting anything and everything he desires, going anywhere and everywhere he likes, creating even a planet in the sky, etc. There are many Yogeshwaras having different proficiencies in these wonderful powers, and the topmost of all of them is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the greatest yogi, and he can perform such wonderful things far beyond the ordinary living beings. The devotees of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, do not directly practice the process of mystic powers, but the grace of the Lord, his devotee can defeat even a great Yogeshwar like Durvasa Muni, who picked a quarrel with Maharaja Ambarisa and wanted to show the wonderful achievement of his mystic powers. Maharaja Ambarisa was a pure devotee of the Lord, and thus, without any effort on his part, the Lord saved him from the wrath of Yogeshwara Durvasa Muni, and the latter was obliged to beg pardon from the king. Similarly, the time Drupada precarious position when he was attacked by the Kurus who wanted to see her naked in the open assembly of the royal order, the Lord saved her from being stripped by supplying an unlimited length of saris to cover her. The Drupadi knew nothing of mystic powers. Therefore, the devotee are also Yogeshwaras by the unlimited powers of the Lord. Just as a child is powerful by the strength of the parents, they do not try to protect themselves by any artificial means, but are saved by the mercy of the parents. Maharaja Parikshit inquired from the learned Brahmana Sukadeva Goswami about the ultimate distinction of such great mysteries, or how they attain such extraordinary powers by their own efforts or by the grace of the Lord. He inquires also about their detachment from the subtle and gross material bodies. He inquired about the purpose of the Vedic knowledge as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15. The whole purpose of all the Vedas is to know the Supreme Personality of the Godhead and thus become a transcendental loving servant of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful.
Translation again. What are the opulences of great mystics and what, sorry, we did the 19 first. 19th translation is, kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the process of devotional service and the methods of mystic powers. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking how the various ingredients or the principles of creation, how the creation takes place, or what principles they are created. And then he says, how do we connect this process of religion with the creation? Very interesting question. So we'll see in the future chapters how Shukdev Goswami answers. And then he's asking, what are the opulences of great mystics and what is their ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas? So here Parikshit Maharaj is asking very pointed questions about the mystic yogis. And how these mystic yogis, how they derive their power, how they achieve those powers. Uh, and he says, what are the opulences of great mystics and what is their ultimate realization? Hmm? And what is their ultimate, destination? After achieving all these mystic powers, what is their ultimate destination or realization? Uh, uh, how does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? We are all attached to our body. But the yogis, they with their yogic power, they become so powerful. uh, they leave their body according to their choice. uh, as part of this whole mystic process, the yogis, they want to transfer themselves into higher planetary system or even to Vaikuntha. And for that he needs to leave his body at a particular time. uh, Here, we can take a example of our modern day rocket launch. When we want to send any object into space, into any planet, you can't just at any moment, any time, just shoot and it'll go away. No, the scientists, they calculate exactly at what time, so there is a countdown. In a particular time that has to go, we have to shoot. So the countdown starts, and exactly at that moment, 10, 9, 8, 7, 8, 0, shh, straight away they go. Similarly, the yogis, to elevate themselves, when they want to leave their body, they leave their body according to their choice. Uh, we humans, we ordinary people, we do not have that, choice. We die, when we don't know when we die. Whenever the time comes, we die. Uh, the yogi has that power. So he's Parikshit Maharaj is asking, how does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas? So he's asking, what is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures? Uh, So many times, when we, many of the people when they meet us, this is, please tell us in summary, in short, what is Bhagavad Gita, what is Bhagavatam. So the Parikshit Maharaj is also asking the same question. That what is the basic knowledge of Vedic scriptures? Vedic scriptures, is so vast, like an ocean. So many literatures are there. But what is the basic principles of Vedic literature? Hmm? And the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas. So the histories are, uh, Mahabharata is the history, and Puranas, all Puranas, they are history. Then there are Upanishads, and there are so many other commentaries are there. So please, Parikshit Maharaj is asking, please explain about all these various scriptures. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, because Parikshit Maharaj asked about the mystic yoga, he gives little information in advance. What is this mystic yoga and how devotees, relate themselves with the mystic yoga. So here this word is called Yogeshwara. Uh, those who are, perfected mystic yogi. Prabhupada mentions the most perfected mystic yogi in this world is Lord Shiva. He has all the siddhis. But Shiva is also Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho. He is a topmost devotee. So these mystic siddhis, they are, as a, Ashta Siddhi. There are 8 kind of mystic perfection. Uh, one can, it is mentioned here, one can become smaller than the smallest. One can become smaller than the atom. Can you imagine? Your power to become smaller than the atom, or to become bigger than the biggest. You can be like a mountain, or you can, lighter than the feather. You have no weights whatsoever. No gravity can touch you. You can lighter than the feather. Then Prapti Siddhi, you can take anything from anywhere in the world. While sitting in Stockholm, Trent, or wherever we are, if you want some flowers from Switzerland, you can just go and bring it here, and just sitting at one place, you can bring it anything. Uh, or you can create anything. There are mystic yogis, they can create their own planets. So there are so many various siddhis are there. The siddhis of, reading somebody's mind. A yogi, he can just look at you and then he can, he can tell you exactly, what you are thinking, or control the mind. They have power to control somebody's mind. So all these siddhis are there, and uh, and these siddhis, Prabhupada here mentions that the I just read this line here. The devotee of the Lord, the Supreme Personal Godhead, do not directly practice the process of mystic powers, but by the grace of the Lord, his devotees can defeat even a great Yogeshwara like Durvasa Muni. So these siddhis, can be achieved by lot of penance. One has to meditate and do certain asana and breathing exercise and meditation for thousands of years. Then you get all this power. But Prabhupada mentions here the devotees are even greater than the mystic yogi. Why? Because devotees are under the protection of the topmost Yogeshwar, which is the Krishna. All these siddhis, they come from Krishna. All the yogis, when they get the siddhi, they are awarded by Krishna only. Without Krishna, nobody can have those siddhis. And devotees, they are protected directly by Krishna. So Prabhupada cites the one story here from Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni was a great mystic yogi, biggest, we can say, in a top league yogi. He had a power that he can travel to any planet in the world, not in this material world. He can go to even Vaikuntha, which is not possible in a same body to go to Vaikuntha. But he had a power to even go there and come back. So someday, one day he, by some, arrangement, he became angry with Ambarish Maharaj that, I am your guest and you drank water without my permission. I curse you, and then he becomes so angry. He created this, because he was a yogi. There and then he created a big demon called Virabhadra. Virabhadra, forgot the name, the demon's name. And then this demon was ordered to go and kill the Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj, he was not a great mystic yogi. He was a simple devotee. He just folded his hand and he said, my Lord, if this is your desire that I should die at this time, let it prevail. And if this is your desire that, you want to protect me, so be it. So he just stood there, and then he just prayed. And when this demon was about to attack Ambarish Maharaj, Krishna, he released his Sudarshan Chakra and he killed the demon. And then the Sudarshan Chakra, because the demon was, was released by the Durvasa Muni, so Sudarshan Chakra now started chasing, Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni, he had a power to run like anybody, like nobody in the world. He is so fastest traveler, more faster than Usain Bolt or any Olympic. He ran and ran, and then he went to so many planets. He went to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. And Sudarshan was just a few centimeters behind. Just about to chop his head off, and he was going and going and going. And everybody said, no, we cannot help you. You offended the devotee of Krishna. Nobody has power to help you. And he was given advice that this Sudarshan is released by Krishna. You go to Krishna or Vishnu, and take and he can withdraw it. So then he went all the way to Vaikuntha, and fell in the feet of Vishnu. He says, my Lord, your Sudarshan, please save me. So even the Lord said that you have offended my devotee. Anybody who offends my devotee, that offense is so great that even I cannot protect that person. But then Durvasa said, but do something, how can I be relieved from this condition? So the Lord said, now go and beg the forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj. And then if Ambarish Maharaj forgives, Then Ambrish, then Durasa Muni immediately, he flew back to, where Ambrish Maharaj was there, and he fell down in his feet. Says, Ambrish Maharaj, I'm sorry, I did a mistake. Please forgive me. And Ambrish Maharaj, Vaishnav, they are so, soft-hearted. He says, oh, no offense taken, I forgive you. And as soon as he forgave Durvasa Muni, this Sudarshan went back. So with this story, we understand that devotees are greater than the mystic yogi because they are directly under the protection of Krishna. Then the Prabhupada shows another story of Draupadi. She was in such a difficult condition. But then Krishna, he supplied all the saris, to protect the dignity of Draupadi. So there are, so many, bhajans and so many stories are there, where it is said that the Lord's devotees are always protected. In fact, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he directly proclaims. Actually, he asks Arjuna to proclaim that Kronte pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Arjuna, you declare it boldly that my devotees will never perish. So Krishna, he gives his personal protection to his devotee. I'm just hearing, or rather reading, one little snippet of Prabhupada's talk. And there Prabhupada was mentioning that devotees and the Lord, they are just like a child and a father. Child, when he's under the protection of his father, he's as powerful as the father. When a child goes with his father, the child is completely fearless. The child may be very tiny, small, hardly any few feet tall. But anybody who comes near the child, the father will protect. If the father will do anything for the child. Similarly, devotees, they are like the children of the Lord. When we take the shelter of the Lord will do anything to protect his child, provided we take the shelter of the Lord. So Prabhupada, he mentioned, that his own personal story, that once Prabhupada, he was traveling in a tram, in those days in Calcutta, there used to be a tram. It is still there, the trams are there. So, Prabhupada and his father were traveling in the tram, and the ticket conductor came. And he jokingly said, hey, you need to have a ticket. Give me your money to buy a ticket. So, he very, chastised, joking, but chastised way, he asked the small Prabhupada, then give me some money. You need to have a ticket. So then, Prabhupada got a little scared. He says, no, I do not have money. But then he said, my father has money. I'm with my father. My father will buy your ticket. So Prabhupada gave that the example of that story, that we may not have any power. We might be very tiny, puny, suffering person in this world. But when we take the shelter of our Supreme Lord, then we are as powerful as the Lord. But our own, we may not have any power. No, we may not have any power. We do not have any power. But if we want to attract the supreme power of the Lord, what is required? Requirement is that we take shelter of the Lord. But if we reject our Father, if we reject that shelter, then we are on our own. We have no whatever power, even whatever power we have, it is given by Krishna only. But whatever that is there, we are on our own. So there is a great instruction in this shloka 20. So we stop here. Next time we'll start from shloka 21.